Class is in session. The Brofessor is in. We are talking ShowDown today, and we're going to learn how to succeed at ShowDown. So let's go over the basics of ShowDown, what it is, and then let's go over the strategies and the things you need to take into consideration to do your best with it. So let's bro. So for the basic, ShowDown is a game mode that we play once a month during the midweek and usually once a weekend during the month-long contest, where you will offensively go up against a tag team set up by other people in the community, and you are trying to defeat them and to gain points towards milestones and other things. So you need to bring your best offense, but you also have to bring in a really good defense to stop others from attacking you, so that way you can gain more notoriety. So this is just the basics of the ShowDown itself. But let's break that down into its component parts and sort of talk about them one by one. So number one, we're going to go over energy. Energy is basically this right here. Energy is consumed for each battle. You get one every single hour. And you can exceed that by purchasing more. You can purchase it in the store. Sometimes it is in the milestones that you are collecting up here as well too. When you go to the different contests, that you can get more energy than is actually there. You can always buy more energy if you want to as well in the shop. But once you run out of energy, you would have to wait 16 hours in which to then refill your energy all the way to the top again. So energy management is one of the things that you're going to have to be really good at if you want to be on the leaderboard for ShowDown, because you need to put wins together. And part of that then, in getting the points that you want to get, is understanding that you are going to want to rise up in the leagues in order to get the most amount of points and coins. But the other thing that you're going to want is you are going to want to get, and I'm missing it here, win streak. The more you win in a row without getting defeated by your opponents, the better and more notoriety and more points you will get. So if you can get above an 11 streak, so if you can win 11 times in a row or more, then you are going to get more notoriety points per win. So that is why it's really important to not only use your energy in chunks at the same time rather than whenever it comes in one at a time, but also to make sure that you are winning in a long enough streak in order to get the most notoriety per win. And that is only possible with a solid defense that is going to stop people from attacking you. And we're going to get to defense in just a minute. But this is an important aspect if you're trying to actually win and get yourself on the leaderboard. So how does then this all work? You need to sort of define your goals about what you want from the ShowDown. Do you just want to complete it, get all of the milestones and walk away, or do you actually want to win it on the leaderboard itself? And when you click on the leaderboard, congratulations to those that are already there, you'll notice that you need to decide whether you want what the top prize is or what the prizes are in this top rows over here. So if you need more of these medallions, so during the midweek, it tends to be the medallions for the month-long contest. And that's what we see here. We're in the middle of a midweek one. On the weekend, the winners of the leaderboard get contest solo points for the weekend solo contest. So you need to decide what it is you're going after in that regard. And I'll go a little bit more into where the milestones are and what that all means. But these are the types of considerations that we're going to have to understand. So let's take a step back from all of that. We need to set up our offense and we need to set up our defense. But before we set up our offense and our defense, we need to actually look at one of the things, because each ShowDown is just a little bit different. And they're just a little bit different because of whom we have to use. So for example, this defensive category, you can see when I go to replace Big Papa Pump here, I am required to use a powerhouse in this slot. So powerhouse is a requirement. I can only use powerhouses as my first defensive slot. So I need to take into consideration who my defense is, right? So I usually like to set up my defense first. So who do I have to use? And then I'm going to go into my perks. And if you haven't equipped your perks, here's the other thing that you're going to need to do. So ShowDown has 3 sets of perks on average. The first is the paid. So if you are part of this subscription, I believe it's the King of Kings subscription, you get to increase your max battle speed. So if you're trying to get those 11 consecutive wins in a row or more, the faster you can do those wins, the easier and more the likelihood of you winning before you do get attacked and losing is increased. You're winning at a faster speed. So that is one thing to consider. The next thing to consider is then you have defensive and offensive perks. So our defensive perks, the very first one, and you can, if you click on it and click on info, it'll show you sort of where you are and how many levels and tiers are left. But usually the first tier is that all the moves of your opponent are reduced by 6. So your opponent is going to have 6 less MP in every category, making it harder for them to start turn 1 against you. However, the offensive perks negate some of that. So if you can max out your offensive perks, you'll notice that black and green are going to have 6 more MP. So now anybody with black moves or green moves are going to be able to put MP trainers on as they normally do. So you're going to have to take that into consideration, that on my defense, I'm going to have to deal with people with green MP and with black MP. And you'll notice that matching, kind of like it does in a tour, will matching a 3 will now give you 2 more move points. So every 3 match is actually 5 MP for you going up. So these are things to consider when we're making our offense and our defense. For our defense, we're going to have to be able to combat anybody with green and black moves. And for our offense, we're going to want to use people with green and black moves because they have this advantage as well. So the first thing we're going to look at as we're starting to create our offense and our defense is what perks are available. So for this time, it's green and it's black. The other thing is that if your perks are not totally filled up and you're wondering, well, where are all the rest of the ShowDown perks located? That's when you got to come to the store and you're going to scroll down until you get to the MLC prize wall. And so in this prize wall, whether you have the discounted one or not, you will notice that when you scroll down within it, there is a champion combo pack. And in that combo pack are 200 ShowDown turnbuckles. I need 500 and something for the next one, so I would have to purchase some in order to get to the next milestone, the next perk milestone, so I can have higher perks. So one of the things that I recommend anybody who comes to my Twitch channel or into my Discord is that things to buy on these prize walls, one of the things you're going to buy throughout the month are these. If you're serious about actually not only maxing, but actually getting onto the leaderboard in a higher space, you're going to need to max out your perks. So here's where you will find them in the prize wall, right there. But let's go back. We don't want the faction boss. Nope, that's where it took us anyways. Well, faction boss is also going on. So you can get an idea timestamp wise of where I am in all this. But if we go back to here to go look at this. So now we have our perks. And we have those sort of settled out. Now we can do our offense and our defense. And so the next on the list after perks, whether it's you want to do your offense first or your defense first, is to think about whom you can use that actually will be good defensively or offensively. You pick the side you want to go. I usually go with defense first. So when I look at my characters, here's what I want to do. I want to make sure that they have the right title to be effective, whether they have plates or not. I'm going to need to make sure that they are going to be good. So if they have a large defensive presence, maybe I have a defensive strap that works on them. So the first thing I'm going to look at is straps. So I'm going to replace this strap and see if I have any straps that are going to be effective. So maybe an anti-stun strap would be the ideal that I would like here. So let's see if I have an anti-stun strap or an anti-bleed strap. Maybe I have a strap with a 40 or 60% defense, and then I can put defense medals on them in order to boost up the ability for them to not only kick out, but also maybe deal enough damage to win that match. Conversely, here is a place where you can also do something different. If you have actually, and people tend to sell these more often than not, but one that is actually effective. Let's see if I have one here. I do not. But let's see if we can find somebody else that has that type of a strap. Let's see. Let's go over to Liv and see. She has that. So in terms of straps that I like to use when it comes to them is defensive straps. If I'm going to go all defensive against them, the other thing that we can use is, and I guess I don't have one for her. So anti-stun, as I said. So finding an anti-stun strap that you might have will help you defensively. No one's going to come in and stun you. But the other one is a health strap. So adding 25% health and using all health medals at 6-star gold is very effective. It turns somebody whose health might be 56 million to well over 100 million. And if you can boost up your health to well over 100 million, that puts the pressure on your opponent's offense to win on turn 1. And if they don't, that means your defense gets a chance to go back and hurt them. So those are the things that I look for. I look for something within the strap. If you have the plate capability to move stuff around, something else you can do for your defensive-minded people on your team is you can put on plates that will mess them up defensively. So things like a dead man sigil. So if your defensive character will actually swipe at black gems and break them and put random X break gems on the board, this is good for breaking subs when you are on the defense. It's rather annoying in that regard. Another one is a cheap shot, so that it makes it harder for them to kick out of things. And let me see if I have any more. I might be using them all because I use them on defense. If you have an escape artist plate, that means if your opponent tries to come in and sub you, so say you have an anti-stun strap with an escape artist plate, that means your opponent, when they look at your roster, they're going to go, oh, now I have to go up again. I can't stun them, I can't submit them, and they have a lot of health. Maybe I can't beat them on turn 1, and they leave. And then you don't get attacked. So that is the type of thing that you want to start thinking about in terms of setting up your defense. The next thing, of course, that you want to set up is someone who uses the moves so that they are ready to go turn 1. So black and green, so we could actually run black moves and run a black move set with Scott Steiner right here. But you know what? That's not really his best move set. Our goal may be to pick somebody who does green or black on the defensive end. That is going to be a pain for the person that we're fighting against. So speaking of green moves that is a pain to go against, maybe a Rick Steiner with a stun move himself that will make a stun loop against your opponent. And so with the green MP bonus from our perks, we could actually get this going on turn 1. It's not going to be fun for our opponent. This is a terrible strap to have on him. What other straps do I have available? None, to be quite honest. none that would be worthwhile other than something like that, which would be an affiliation strap. Actually, let's see. If we were to go out of Ultimate and we went down to Legendary strap. So here's a strap that I was talking about a moment ago, right? Getting an HP boost. This one's only 3%, but at the Legendary level, Ultimate level, sorry, you can get up to 25%. So there's something to think about when in terms of what kind of strap you wanted to put onto someone like this. No great straps, but a strap nonetheless that could not get subbed as well too. Could put a skill plate on there. So that's the type of thing you want to think about. So if somebody attacks me, how are they, is my character going to get a turn? Can I force the person looking at my character not to want to attack me? So that's the sort of thing I want to look at. Are there tag links? That's the other thing that I didn't check out as well too. So let's say this is, actually we want to replace. So let's replace Big Papa Pump. How do I know who I should pick here, right? So men, class, and required, right? So I can click on the required part. I can click on contest to know who I have to use contest-wise, right, to get points. But I can also click on links. So here's the links that that Zombie Liv, because I'm changing this character here. So Zombie Liv is on the other side. What tag links does she have? And then I can click the information 20% more health for zombies, and then modern era. Those are the only tag links that I have that are beneficial to me. But what if I wanted to pick 2 other people in here, right? So what if I wanted to replace you? So if I'm going to replace Zombie Live, then I go to links. Okay, so now there's a WCW link. So all my color moves are going to start with 1 more MP. So this is the other thing that you need to also take an advantage of, is that we have these tag links for ShowDown specifically. So what tag links are available to me to use, right? So let's see if we choose her, Stacy Keibler, and then we replace him in terms of another tag link. Okay, so Attitude Era, WCW link, and maybe those are the only 2 links available. And then when you get down, it'll say no links. Okay, so no links are available there. So male-female is the hardest one because there's a lot less links for male-female tag teams in here. The JD have one that you can also use. But more often than not, tag teams tend to be the same gender. So that means this is not obviously a great example of this, but you get the idea that if we wanted to do even more, actually, I got it. I got it, y'all. I know what I'm trying to say here. So if we want to go links, let's go back to required. Let's pick a Hall of Famer. And now we want to replace. So this is a great link just in general, right? Is to build up your Hall of Famers, because Hall of Famers start with +4 move points. And that's a huge tag link. So this will allow your Hall of Famers to start on turn 1 in many cases, making your Hall of Famers much more valuable, both offensively and defensively, right? I do not want to set that, but you get the idea. So work with the tag links that you have. So that's the defensive side of this. If you don't care whatsoever if people attack you, you just want to get your points and get out of the contest, then you have a couple of options, which is set your best defense. Whoever attacks you, and you move on. The other is to just put a low ranking offense in here, or low ranking defense that makes it unappealing to attack you because there's not a lot of points, there's not a lot of damage to be done, and you might not get attacked as much on that end of the spectrum as well too. So a couple schools of thought about how to do the defensive side of things. All right, so let's move to offense. So offense has a few other considerations that we have to look into. The first consideration is, what are our requirements for this? So if you click on our offense, actually that's not what we do. We want to click on our offense over here. So where are we getting points for this is what also matters. So you'll notice that there is a little C here for Contest Superstar, and you can see that Liv is actually one of these Contest Superstars. It's lit up right here, right now. And so you can see that until August 23rd, or while the contest is available, if I win 10 matches with a modern superstar, of which Zombie Liv is, then I will get 100,000 points. 10 with the Legends, 10 with the Ruthless Aggression Era, and they can be in either position. So if I put one of these 3 categories in this position where Hall of Fame Rey Mysterio is, we would also win those points. So that's one area that you need to check. The next area you need to check in terms of your offense is going to the ShowDown contest itself. So make sure you go to your ShowDown contest, win a battle in which league you are in or higher with which people. So make sure you do that as well too. Check there. And if it's a midweek, you'll notice that there's also a Master Manager ShowDown competition as well. And in the weekend, it's usually combined, both of these. But you will notice that you have to win matches with certain people, but you also have to deal damage with certain people or break gems with certain people. So always check that to be sure, right? So how much damage do I need with any Raw Superstar? Well, who's a Raw Superstar, you ask? Well, scroll up and click on Superstars, and then it's going to give you all the tasks with these different people. Hey, who's a Raw Superstar? Click on Raw, and then click on View. And then it's going to show you all of your Raw Superstars. So these are all of my Raw Superstars. So I have to win with somebody in this bucket over here, right? These are the Raw Superstars with which to use, right? So if I click on Braun Breaker and I go over to his links and his gear, there it is. He's Raw. He also has a Steiner's link. We talked about links before. Red moves start with 4 more MP. So if I could win with him, then I will do damage with him, and that will fulfill that requirement. So that's an easy way to go see which superstars are part of which one. And so make sure that you are able to complete all of your tasks. We're going to come back to what ShowDown coins and notoriety and which one to go after in a minute, but I just wanted to sort of get you sort of lined up on when we're doing our offense. When you're in a lower notoriety, and right now my notoriety is low because I've been attacked and I haven't even been playing, I've been making a video. When your notoriety is low, you are going to go against lower notoriety people with the chance to actually do some damage right there. So let's get into how we make our offense. So when I'm choosing an offense, the thing that I want to do, of course, we talked about a little bit with the defense, is I want to choose 2 characters that I know I'm going to win with on turn 1. That's always my goal. I never want to go turn 2 or longer. I don't want to give the defense a chance to have a turn, mess up my streak, or lose. So my goal is to always win on turn 1. I do want to look at whom I'm going up against too, because that also is a big factor within this. So as I said a moment ago, Braun Breaker has black moves. And so he has a moveset that then I can use because I'm not getting the nerf on my black MP. This allows me then to use him turn 1 in an effective situation where I might not actually need him to have a tag link with anybody. It's not necessary in that sense, but it's possible. So whom do we link with? Just modern era superstars. So I can pick anybody else here. And so this gives me a chance then to go into the contest. So who will get me points in the contest? Well, it's of these eras and so forth. So this is the type of thing that you want to look at, is offensively, whom can I use to win on turn 1 if possible? And the other thing that when you're on offense looking is make sure you're actually looking at whom your opponent is, right? So who does my opponent have on their defensive setup? Do they have any moves that are going to be buffed and going on turn 1? Red's not one of those colors, so he's going to lose, or she, 6 MP right away, right? So even though they have all of this red gems, starting points and stuff, they're going to lose right away, even though, again, they have gear, but that's also going to go down. On defense, same thing over here, but black gems is something that they are going to be able to have ready to go if the tag happens. I also want to check their strap. Am I using somebody that has a stun, right? So he has a stun. One of my moves is a stun against Trickster. So if I'm going up against a Trickster, I'll be able to stun them. So what kind of belt does this person have? What kind of strap? What kind of medals do they have? If they have damage medals, so if they have a damage strap with damage medals, then they have a chance to kick out of my attack, right? Do they have any plates? What are their plates doing? Well, this is a submission plate. And then if they're going to break all the red, they're going to get yellow. So are either of these plates stopping me from doing a submission, or are either one of them really going to mess me up, in other words? So make sure you're checking on what your opponent is doing and what kind of moves that they have, okay? And on that, I almost forgot to talk about the other thing on defense. Let's go back to defense for 1 second, because I forgot something actually rather important, is that when setting up your defense, test your defense. Actually take your defense on the road and autoplay it, because that's how the computer is actually going to play your defense. So you autoplay it on the tours, maybe even autoplay it on the regular weekday showdowns, and see if it matters what order your moves are in. Because if it, for Scott Steiner specifically, if it does the Steiner screwdriver before it puts down any of these Juggernaut gems, I'm never going to win on defense. It doesn't matter how I set him up otherwise. I will always lose. And for some, it actually matters whether you are in left to right order, and sometimes it actually doesn't. And sometimes the AI makes really bad decisions. And so if you can figure out which superstars on defense never actually use all of their moves correctly, you can also know then who to attack. So make sure you test that out as well too. So make sure that the top move here in your equipped moves is going to be the one on the left. The bottom one here is going to be the one on the furthest to the right in the middle of a match. So test out your defense. Some characters, doesn't matter what order you put them in, like Scott Steiner is one of those, that it's going to go off in the right order, usually. But again, you never know with the AI stuff. But make sure you test out your defensive lineup of how it's going to look when you're going on auto. So that way you can see what the computer auto is actually going to do when it's playing your match on your time. All right. So that brings us then back to our offense. So what kind of moments do you have? Does this moment work in a showdown? Well, no, it actually doesn't work in a showdown. Well, that's not going to help us in choosing our offense. But in some cases, there are showdown moments for people. And let's look at, Dominic might be a good one to look at. Judgment Day. Assign him here. So JD Dom has a couple of moments, as you can see. And this moment right here is an actual showdown moment. So this moment means that when I use any of these characters in a showdown, that I'm going to be able to generate more countdown gems, generate more juggernaut gems. And this might give me the advantage that I need. Now, not all moments will be applicable in a showdown. Only the ones that are universal, of course, or the ones that say showdown. But this gives you an idea of other people that you can use on offense. And so if I actually wanted to do, as I said, JD characters are one of the few that actually have a link. So modern is no link here. Did they take the link off for this? It's probably down below. Haha. So you can also swap them as well too. So if these two together are like, wait a minute, yeah, they are modern, but don't they have a Judgment Day link that also works? You can click on the link and it'll give you ones that you can swap. Hey, blue moves are going to start with 8 more MP. Blue is one of the ones that's going to get nerfed, but now that we're going to start with a +2 instead of a -6, now we have an actual chance to get our moves off on turn 1 as well. So that's another thing to consider, is how we're going to use not only the tag links, but do they actually have any moments? So offensively speaking, there's a lot of thought going into whom you're going to use after you've completed all of your CSS, after you've hit the contest superstars you need to do, you've won the matches with all the people you want to win with. And now if you're just going straight for victory after victory after victory, building up that offensive streak, how are you going to do that? Well, these are some of the steps that you're going to have to look at. Who am I going to use over and over and over again to win? And what is going to be my tactic with which to do so? So you can see this would be an effective tactic as well, would be using something like that. That is your tag team, right? But it's not just these two. You can put in Damian Priest and so forth. So thinking about offensively, how we're going to use these characters, there's another thing offensively that you need to consider, and that is the revamped showdown characters in order to get yourself loaded and ready to go turn 1. So what exactly do I mean by revamped? All right, let me show you. So if we go out of here and replace this, we don't have to do links, we can just do The Miz, like the A-lister. And he's here somewhere. So a few months ago, a revamp of Showdown was done, and several characters were given new moves, including 1 MP moves and tag moves. So for example, The Miz has a 1 MP move to choose 3 gems to make into yellow gems. So you're going to make a match of yellow, and then it's going to reduce your tag counter by 3. So in this instance, turn 1, there's no nerfing that can be done to this. My 1 MP move, is going to be ready to go. So my 1 MP move goes, and then my tag is ready to go, and then I can tag in a much more powerful superstar. And since I'm matching yellow, I can then use yellow over here. So this is a way around that MP down perk that our opponent is going to have defensively. So even though I'm -6 yellow MP, what I can do is I can take The Miz and I can add matching trainers or coaches on there. And I can then also, when I tag in my partner, I'm going to pick a partner that has yellow MP, right? So if I have to actually take her out of there. She actually, I believe, has yellow MP. So that way I can tag in, she does not have yellow MP, but I can take somebody that has yellow MP. Actually, we can go back to somebody more devastating available. Who amongst you has yellow? You do. So what I can do here is I can say, okay, I'm going to use the Miz on turn 1. I'm going to make a yellow match. I'm going to make my tag counter go down to 0, and then I'm going to tag in Roxanne. And when Roxanne comes into this match now, she is going to have her yellow moves loaded and ready to go, and then I can use them to defeat my opponent. And this is especially effective in this type of a showdown male-female, because when I tag in my female character, they have to tag in theirs as well too. So I can go one-on-one in a matchup that maybe I'm a little bit more comfortable if my male superstars really aren't strong enough. So this is another strategy that you can use, and it's not just the Miz that has this. There is a whole host of these, and I'm gonna say, all right, so at this point, we've talked about offense, defense, perks, energy, how all this kind of stuff works. Now comes to the nitty gritty of actually succeeding at the showdown, and how is that actually going to work? So what we have to do, we've already looked at sort of where the milestones are and what we're sort of shooting for, but what is your strategy beyond that? And so there's two things you got to consider, and a lot of that has to do actually with your promoters, right? So the next thing we're actually going to talk about is your promoters and how the promoters actually work in this. And which promoter you're going to use is actually going to depend on what your goals are. So there's two showdown kinds of promoters. One of them is in the King of Kings prize wall. You get them. They are the coin promoters. So you're going to get 50% more coins every time you win. The other promoter is a notoriety promoter. And when you max these ones out, you are going to get 250% more notoriety per win on top of that. So when do you use these two different promoters? When do you use coin? When do you use notoriety? Is a question that I often ask and get from community players. So I figure I'll answer this here so you get an idea. If you have an affiliation belt, then you can run in this case, two tricksters at the same time and get 250. Otherwise, if I want to run these two tricksters together, I can have to put a different one on here, and I lose the ability to get more either coins or notoriety from it. So, all right, so what are our considerations with this? What are your goals? Like, that's quite honestly, what is your goal with this showdown? So first thing I always look at is the leaderboard. What is it that I want to do? Do I want these 8,000? If I do want these 8,000, then I need to get my notoriety to a place where I can get to number 1. And that's going to require me to have a strong defense. That's going to require me to have notoriety promoters, so that way I can max out my notoriety with every single win that I get. So that is the goal right there. But if my goal is to actually max out a contest, well, that's something a little bit different. Because on a weekend, it's usually 1.8 million is the max that you would want to get to. But in order to get to that, or to any max on this, I'm going to need to get the point method to get here. In order to get this point method, I need coins. So you get coins from every win regardless, but if your goal is to max out this contest, then I'm going to have to win with as many CSS as I can, but I'm also going to have to get coins and the extra coins there so that I can get further and further down in these milestones. So in order to get those coins, I need those promoters, and I need to win with them. And the other thing you have to take into consideration is your league, and what league you're in determines how many coins and how much notoriety that you will be getting. So once you get into the top league, then you can start earning the maximum amount of coins per win. So for me, when I'm scouting out what I'm going to do in terms of a showdown, I first look at what the prizes are and which I'm going to go for, whether that's notoriety or coin. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide and make sure that I can defeat people with, it's not the Super Shard contest. I want to go back to here. So I need to complete my CSS with the next, right? My contest superstars next. I need to be able to win with Ezekiel, especially in this showdown where I have to use a male in the first slot. I have to find a way to win 5 matches with this god-awful Tommaso Ciampa. So how am I going to do that is going to require me to then do that when my notoriety is lower, so I am playing against weaker opponents. Okay? And then later on, then I can worry about dealing damage. Depends. So you have to, this is actually where your rooster comes into play. And when I say rooster, I mean your roster. Who is on your rooster that can actually do this? Do you have CM Punk? Right? If you don't have CM Punk, then you don't have to worry about this. But if you do have CM Punk and he's 4-star gold, as he is in my case, how am I going to win 4-star gold when all of my opponents are 6-star bronze? So that becomes a different discussion. Can I keep him alive long enough and not lose the match where I then lose energy? I don't want to lose energy. I don't want to lose any matches. That goes against my goals of getting a high win streak. So you're going to have to decide which of these are attainable and when. Because raw damage I could do later on with a good raw superstar, which I have. I don't have Julius Creed, but I do have several Cody Rhodeses, and I could probably do them a little bit later on, or if I come up against a weaker matching opponent, right? So you don't have to do all your CSS at the beginning, but it might be easier with which to do it then. So you have to decide when you're going to do your CSS. That's another consideration in the notoriety versus coins argument. In terms of notoriety and getting the most for notoriety, when you are in this position to attack other people in this game, obviously you want to see who you can attack based on their lineup that you think you can defeat. But you also want to make sure that their notoriety is higher than yours. Their notoriety has to be higher than yours in order to get more notoriety points. So if I'm at 72, but I'm attacking someone with a 7 notoriety, I'm not going to get as many points as if I'm attacking someone with a much higher notoriety than me. And the higher their notoriety above me, the more points that I will get to a certain percentage. So you always want to attack somebody that is higher than you. And if this person is not higher than me, and this person's not higher than me, and this person's not higher than me, then you need to refresh until you find somebody. So I'm not going to attack this person because their notoriety is 0. This really doesn't help me. The only reason I would attack this person is because I believe that I can defeat them, that they have a weak enough offense that for example, my CM Punk, who is 4-star gold, can win this match. So I'm actually going to attack him, and I'll take the notoriety hit to get my CSS completed. But this is also below me. So why would I want to attack that? So I'll refresh again. Aha, look. Hey, Platinum Patrick, say his name and he will appear. You made it in my video, bro. I would attack here, right? Because look how much the difference is between our notorieties. So that is worthwhile enterprise for me to attack with. So when you're making these decisions about who and when to attack, just understand that if your goal is to get as much notoriety as possible, then you're going to get notoriety promoters as much as possible. You're just going to use them all the way through. If your goal is to get coins, you get more coins for elite champion wins than you would get down here. And it will take you more wins with coin promoters to climb all the way up this leaderboard. And so for me, I like to use notoriety promoters to get to the highest leagues and then switch to coin if coin is my goal. The sooner I can get up here, the more I can actually win, if that makes sense. So that is something else that you need to consider while you're choosing between notoriety and coins. What is your overall goal? If it's to max the solo contest, then that is where you're going to need coins with which to do so. So you're going to have to win as many times as you can with coins. All right. So we've talked about offense, defense, perks. We've talked about promoters and their impact and when you're going to use them. If your goal is to leaderboard and be at the top of this, you need your ShowDown promoters to be top level. They have to be at 250%. That should be your next goal, is to get them up there. It's really hard to win ShowDowns and to leaderboard in the top 10 without them there. Okay. Last but not least, if you go into your logs over here, you are going to be able to see who has attacked you. Oh my goodness. I guess my defense is a lot better than I thought it was. Who has attacked you? And to put 2 people on blast who decided to attack me, Der Chef Aldrete. Thank you for attacking me and showing me that even with a subpar defense, one that's not fully set up, you can still win and make it difficult for your opponents. So, here's a chance for you to look at who's attacked you. And look, I already have someone that's attacked me and I can revenge them. The beauty of using your revenges, when you click on it, it's going to show you the person that attacked you. It's going to show you their defense and if you can attack them. Attacking them is obviously going to break their win streak. And I'm going to tell you a secret. When somebody attacks you, don't immediately attack them back. Don't angry rage revenge, okay? No rage revenges over here. You're going to save up your revenges until we get closer to when you're actually going to make a run. So if you get attacked 4 or 5 times, you lose 4 or 5 times or 6 times, that's what's going to start your next win streak. Remember how we talked about win streaks? So if I just went out and I attacked Platinum Patrick and Mr. X Rules and Dirty H2O, Dirty Water, if I attacked each one of these and I'm building up my win streak and now I have a win streak of 3, what if the revenge from Platinum Patrick is coming and hits me as I'm winning on my, my 16 right here? Now he's broken my win streak and I have to start again. So what I suggest and what I do is that in my logs, I wait until there is enough here that if I had 5 or 6 in my logs here that I can go back and defeat, each one of them that I defeat, they can't attack me back because I'm revenging them. So now my win streak is going to be at 5 or 6, provided my defense keeps people from attacking me. And then I'm going to start attacking Platinum Patrick or Mr. X Rules. And now I've already have a 6 win advantage to me moving forward. I hope that makes sense of how I use revenge. I call it the revenge tour, where I, like Liv Morgan, shout out Liv Morgan, that I go on my revenge tour where I revenge all the people at the same time. Now you can do this midway through a showdown. You can do it in the last couple of hours of a showdown when people are trying and jockeying for position. This is a way for you to get easy defeats. Try your best to keep an eye on where they are as well too. Me revenging against people with lower notoriety does me less good. It gives me a win to help my win streak, but I want to make sure my win streaks and my notorieties are moving both in the same direction. So try to align that as you're making your move up in the notoriety categories. So I believe that's ShowDown. I think I've gone over everything that has been on my list to go over. Put a link in, put a question in the comments if you want to know more, any other strategy ideas of what to do in terms of ShowDown. But thanks for sticking through this rather long video, but I wanted to go through it in detail because I do get a lot of questions about ShowDown and how to do it effectively. The thing with ShowDown, of course, is that you're going to need strong defense. You're going to need eventually 6-star gold characters with which to carry your team because you're going to try to go up against those that do, right? So that's the big hindrance that many players have, but hopefully with the new ShowDown characters, the 1MPs, it allows you to at least try to win against those types of defenses as well too, to bring in your best superstars where possible. So make sure you give this video the old like, the share, the subscribe. If you're not a part of my Discord, make sure you check out the link tree in the description below. Make sure you head over to Twitch when I'm doing giveaways on Tuesdays and sometimes on Fridays. So make sure you are following me over on Twitch and come hang out, ask questions of the Brofessor when class is in session. This class is actually over. Thanks for coming to class. Brofessor out.